framework of space. The framework of space. Science has discovered a lot in space. Ever since Galileo, he looked into the sky with his telescope. Since then, the telescopes have become bigger, more powerful, and nowadays there are a couple of telescopes in space also, and they're peering deeper and deeper into space as such. They are looking into galaxies, and they found out there are 1 billion galaxies in the universe now. 1 billion means 10 raised to power 9 zeros. And each galaxy has about 1 billion stars. You can imagine the size and the complexity of this universe. So science has understood that these other things are there. There are black holes. But all these objects have been understood by science. They've discovered a lot. But they have very limited understanding of the framework of space. What's the structure? What is the wiring diagram of space? What's the framework of space as such? They do not have a proper understanding for the starting point of space. And they also don't have any much understanding why is space expanding as such. So if you look around space, everything is moving in space. There's not a spot in space which is not moving. We have our Earth, which is going around the sun. It takes about 365 days to make one rotation there. And our solar system is moving, rotating around its own galaxy, the Milky Way, and it takes about 228 million years to make one circle around the galaxy. So you can imagine 228 million years. So right now, with the location of our solar system in the galaxy, 228 millions back, there were dinosaurs running on Earth there. So it takes that much time for one circle around our Milky Way. And each galaxy are also falling apart. They're moving across. So there's nothing fixed in space as such. With that sort of environment, it becomes very difficult to find the framework of space. But we need to find a non-moving location. We need to find a location in space which is not moving there. And that could be the starting point. Because if you look around in space, you cannot find that location at the moment, because we are looking for a non-moving location and looking in terms of technically, mathematically word, x is equal to 0, y is equal to 0, z is equal to 0, and t is equal. You have to look at this, the non-moving part. If you find this non-moving part, we can say the space starts from that location as such. In terms of x, y, and z, it becomes very difficult because it says you see space all around, everything is moving. How do you find that location which is not moving there? So you have to look at space in a different way. You have to look at space in terms of time, not in terms of distances there. Let's see, if you look in terms of time, what happens. So we have this example out here. We see a star which is far, far away in the night, and light will take, for example, for this star, 5 million years to reach us from there. It's 5 million years, the light is traveling to reach you. So it's very far away. But something closer, the sun, which is about 8 minutes away, light takes 8 minutes to reach us from the sun. For the moon, light takes 3 seconds to reach us from the moon. For the plane which is flying at 30,000 feet, the light takes about 3 into 10 raised to the power minus 3 seconds, 3 milliseconds to reach us there. So you can see, as the distance is reducing, light takes less time to reach us. Yeah. And now if you go further inwards, if you see the tree which is outside your window, light might take approximately 10 raised to the power minus 6 seconds to reach us. And if you have a computer in front of you at the moment, or what you call iPad or one of those mobile devices, light will take approximately 10 raised to the power minus 9 seconds to reach you. So what is the point where light will take 0 seconds to reach you? So if you move backwards, the only location where light will take 0 seconds to reach you is the observer within you. So that observer within you is the point which is t is equal to 0 for space. That is the non-moving part. So this experience would be for anyone and everyone. If you look out outside your window, you'll also see and do the same analysis. You'll find that your t is equal to 0 also is within you. So each one of us will have their own non-moving part. With a non-moving part in space is your inner core. So your inner core within you is the observer, or you can call it the observer is the t is equal to 0 for space there. So you can see straight away connection. The starting point of space is the t is equal to 0, which is your inner core. So the center of the universe, and now if you wherever the t is equal to 0, logically x is also equal to 0 at the same point, y is also 0 at the same point, and z is also equal to the same point. All the three coordinates are at the same point, which is your inner core here. So your inner core is really the starting point for space. And this starting point is with you. You cannot do away with the starting points. If you travel from today from here to Delhi, your starting point is going along with you, because you use the same logic there, and you'll come to the same conclusion that your starting point of space is with you. So the starting point of space is always with you. Wherever you go, you may go to Mars next day, and you use the same logic of what I showed earlier, trying to see the objects and trying to see which come closer. You'll come to the same conclusion. Yeah, the t is equal to 0 is right within you, the observer. So the observer within you is always the t is equal to 0. Then each living being has its own non-moving point. You have your own non-moving point within you, your observer within you. So everyone living point has. So what's the implication of that? It's an amazing implication is that. Implication is that since your space is starting with you, my space is starting with me, and every living being space is starting with their own inner self. Each one of this projecting their own universe. It's an amazing conclusion, but logically that's the only correct way to look at space there, that each one of us is projecting their own universe. Now let's try to understand. We have understood out here that the starting point of space is the inner core within you. So we saw the connection of inner core, which Vedanta teaches, and the inner core, which space needs to understand. If you want to understand space, you need to understand your inner core. The other thing we need to understand is how the correlation between time and space and the expansion of space there taking place. Science tells us that the age of the universe is 13.7 billion years. If the age of the universe is 13.7 billion years, what is the size of the universe? So that's the outer edge of the universe, age 13.7 billion years. So light will take 13.7 billion light years to reach us there. 1 light year means the amount of time light takes to travel in 1 year. So that amount is 9.46 trillion kilometers light travels every year. So the size of the universe is 13.7 billion years multiplied by 9.46, and you can do the maths and you can see the size of the universe is really huge. So that's the size of the universe right now. If we say that the age of the universe right now at this particular moment is 13.7 billion years, then the size of the universe will be 13.7 billion light years. Now after 1 second, what happens? This universe has aged by 1 second. So the age of the universe is now 13.7 billion years plus 1 second. So now the age is additional 1 second. What does that mean? It means the light has to travel one additional 186,000 miles from this outer edge to reach you as such. And after 10 seconds, the age of the universe will be 13.7 billion years plus 10 seconds. And then the size of the universe will be 13.7 billion light years plus 1,860,000 miles. And after 1 year, the age of the universe will be 13.7 billion years plus 1 year. And then the size of the universe will be 13.7 billion years plus 1 light year. So the expansion of the outer edge is expanding every year because it is expanding by 1 light year every year sort of thing. So can we see the amazing conclusion that the time is really creating space there? It's nothing but time. Time is the source for space. As the time grows, the space size grows. If today the size of the universe is only 6 billion years, the size of the universe will be 6 billion light years as such. So as time passes, space is grown there. It's an amazing conclusion there that time is the source for space as such. And you may ask a question, when will time end? So the universe will come to an end when time comes to an end. That's the only logical answer you can have. And when will time come to an end? That nobody knows. Vedanta has his own theory, but that's not the discussion today. But time is creating space. And Vedanta teaches, and very logically, time is a function of the mind. Time only functions in the mind. It doesn't function in space, because space has just got 3 dimensions. It has no place for time. It's a 4th dimension, as Einstein said, and the 4th dimension will only operate in the time, and that's the only logical place for time to operate. And you can see that time creates space, time functions in mind, therefore mind creates space. Can you see the connection? That which you already mentioned to you, that the starting point of space is the t is equal to 0 is your inner core, your mind, and that mind or inner core is creating the space outside there. So the mind creates space. So all this may sound very interesting and logical. You might still ask me a question, Jayant, all this is great, it may sound logical, but do you have a scientific proof to show that what framework you are mentioning out here is the only fact? It is provable, and I proved this in my book, Science Meets Vedanta. Right? Only a couple of days back, I was watching a couple of videos on expansion of the universe, and science is so confused. They're not able to understand why the universe is expanding more rapidly in some places and less rapidly in other places. That's because they don't understand the framework of space. Now we have seen our current discussion that there are 2 points. One is the starting point, which is t is equal to 0, which is fixed, which is within your inner core. That doesn't move. It's always fixed at t is equal to 0. And the outer edge of the universe is 13.7 billion light years. So there's a thing called Hubble's constant. Many years back, over 100 years back, I'm not sure what the duration is, but there's a gentleman who was Hubble, named after the Hubble's constant. What they do that is they look at it through the telescope. If they look at an object which is about 3.3 million light years away from us, any object, it could be a planet, it could be a star, and they watched that planet or star, and they found that particular star is expanding at a rate of 72 kilometers per second. So that's an observation which has been proven multiple times, and always it is proven. Look at an object in space, which is about 3.3 million light years away, and you'll find out the expansion rate is 72 kilometers per second. But science has no clue about how this expansion takes place and why does this expansion takes place. There's no mathematical proof. So I have in my book shown a mathematical proof showing that Hubble constant of 72 kilometers per second is a fact. It's a very simple mathematical equation. It's nothing complicated. So if you look in the diagram in front of you, there's a fixed point, which is t is equal to 0, and the outer edge, which is 13.7 billion years old, and it is expanding at the rate of 1 light year. Just imagine, this is equivalent to imagining a rubber band. If you hold a rubber band in your hand and keep one point fixed, and you keep pulling the other part, this outside edge, the other end, what will you notice? You'll notice the outer edge will expand much faster. And as you go towards the inner edge, the expansion rate is much lower there. And then this way you can, this is what exactly is happening here. The outer edge of this universe, we have shown, expands at 1 light year every year. So, and that is at a distance of 13.7 billion light years. So what will be the expansion rate at 3.3 million light years? If we just do a simple proportional mathematics and the variable, you'll find out, you know the answer, 72 kilometers per second. So that's what the Hubble's constant is shown. And science is struggling to find out how to and why the universe is expanding. Obviously, the universe is expanding more rapidly towards the edge, outer edge. The expansion will be just like a rubber band. Outer edge will expand faster. And as you come closer to the fixed point, the expansion rate will be lower. If even the sun, if you do the same calculation, you can find out the expansion rate of the sun, and you'll notice it is exactly what science tells you. So what I'm trying to say is a mathematical proof is there that the framework of what I mentioned here of space is the only correct explanation there, that the t is equal to 0 is fixed within you, and the outer edge is expanding at 1 light year outside. So that's the thing to show you that what science has to learn from Vedanta, how the space is created and how the space is created. And I've just shown you mathematically what I've mentioned out here is the only truth, and science has to learn and has to agree to this fact